Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
We're waiting on you. We're ready to go. We want to go hunt.
Okay. All right, guys, welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I am your host, David Holder. I'm joined today by my two knucklehead boys, Easton and Warren, who I will apologize now because they're going to do something or say something that is just not right. If it makes you laugh, we're glad. If it offends you, we're sorry. Kind of, you know.
Yeah, it depends on what it is.
So anyhow, so there you have it. So, but today, as we mentioned last week, it's deer season. So that's what we're going to be talking about is deer hunting. And today, honestly, we did something similar to this, but I think we're going to take a little different angle. And you guys, we actually had people that said they were listening to this podcast while they were in the tree, and it helped them get through and make a shot. And we were talking about buck fever and how to fix that. Today we're going to talk about finishing. And don't go dirty on me. I'm talking about finishing on you got a deer that comes in and now you have to clear how do you get to the point? Because that's the difference between the bow and the crossbow is you have to get full draw and get a shot.
We need to apologize for you more often. That's what we need to do.
It's okay. It's quite all right. So anyhow, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Pretty excited about it. Deer season is here. We're having some good fun. We're seeing some bucks. Saw 10 bucks this morning. That was really good. And don't forget, if you have not got your scents, LHD is back in. I don't know if it'll still be in by the time this podcast airs or not. I'm sorry because we are selling it as fast as we can fill it. And other than that, everything else is the elite package.
There's a lot out of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We're at the end of the season here, guys. So sorry, but you guys have it's a great problem, I guess. You guys continue to buy what we predict that you guys are looking for. So that's a good problem to have. So anyhow, with that being said, Warren has some housekeeping stuff he'll take care of. And Easton, do you have questions today or no questions?
I didn't have
today?
any quick 5 minute or so. It was going to be a long one. So
okay.
Shout out to Algoma Flyways. It says, I'm definitely guilty of panicking, LOL. I definitely agree that a lot of guys rely too much on their cameras, and I always say you can't kill them on the couch. Best get out there and find out. Wyatt Myers says, long-time listener, first-time commenter. I can remember watching you guys on TV with my dad when I was younger. I'm 19 from Northeast Ohio, and I've just recently killed my biggest buck with a bow, scoring 147 and 5/8.
Nice.
Yeah, I put a lot of work into the farm that I was hunting, cut new trails, put in a brand new clover pot. I had no pictures of the buck I shot, as I later found out that a buddy had him on his farm about 1.5 miles away all summer. Thanks for the awesome podcast. Ben Maloney says, hey, fellas, I went hunting with my old man for years, but this is the first year I've took a bow out and hunted myself. Been learning so much from you all. Got a few decent bucks on camera that have just popped up in the last 2 weeks and frequent the same area on the property where my stand is. Hoping to get it done here soon with the rut just around the corner. Keep it up, guys. Gray says, I'm definitely guilty of overthinking and second-guessing myself. Yeah, I think we
feel that, brother. Feel that.
Too many times I put out multiple stands and try to play everything correctly. Every year I do that, it is the year I eat a tag. Those years I go out to hunt and just enjoy myself. I see tons of deer and get 1 or 2. Jake DeLee, not hunting related, they can juice the kicker balls now. Before they wouldn't get the kicker ball until the game started. Now they work them.
Yeah, they get them for the week for practice. He's talking about the NFL.
Yeah.
They get to practice with them for the week so they can kind of get the pig skin broke in, know what I'm saying?
Huh. Is that why they're able to kick them so much further?
Well, before then, it was like quarterbacks would have issues, receivers would have issues because it'd be a brand new ball and it's slick still. Like it hasn't been
worked at all.
Yeah,
I can't see
right. I'm right, Nick.
I can't see that making the ball go farther.
Yeah,
I could see that helping a quarterback
getting better grip on the foot.
I'm not buying that.
Also, legs have come a long ways, man.
Long legs.
Maybe that too.
I don't know.
The NFL started picking up soccer players. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. All right.
For real.
All right. We ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
I believe so.
Close the deal. How do you do it?
Don't miss.
Oh, yeah. That's.
Yep. We said we wanted a quick one today.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Point, aim, shoot.
I think this is a mix of mental capabilities, and it could be set up as well, like setting yourself up for success. I mean, I guess the only reason I say that is because I do think that there is probably a pretty good amount of guys out there that are bouncing around. I think the mobile hunting is pretty big, and I've done it plenty of times where I've set myself up to get screwed when I've I know where they're going to come in or something like that. So obviously setting up is a good starting process to close it, but then your mental is, I think, where it comes down to truly closing the deal, the one chance, most likely the one chance you're going to get all year, especially if it's on that one deer or that certain caliber deer. You just don't get lots of those opportunities.
So let's just say that the buck that you are chasing and one that you want to shoot is 80 yards in closing. From that point forward, what do you think is the largest mistake most guys make, or consistent mistakes that guys make?
I think they let themselves get worked up too much. And I think by doing that, especially if it's a buck, it's probably because you're looking at them too much, especially antlers. And then you're thinking about it too much. You're freaking out that it's, oh my gosh, this is the one. Or I've never seen one this big, or whatever else. You're not thinking about what you need to do. You're thinking about what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's people, I think the majority of people, I think, go either one of two ways. Either one, they totally panic and they do everything too fast. They immediately grab their bow. They forgot that there was a doe 15 yards to their left that was kind of on edge and busted. Or they just are going too fast, and then they get in their own head and everything happens, and then they fall apart when they actually shoot because they fell apart when he was on his way in. Or I think you get some of the other people that you can get, I think their panic is freeze.
Yeah,
they don't do anything.
Yep.
They're afraid to get their bow. They're afraid to even breathe, and then they can't do anything at that time either. So when you get into that final step, I guess my question to each of you is, what's going through your head at this point? I think I have an idea of what I'm thinking.
Kind of what keeps us in the moment.
You see him, you determine this is the one I'm wanting to shoot, and he's coming your way. Now what happens?
I give myself like a second or two, because most of the time when I identify it, or if I have the chance to identify that this is a shooter, or I determine that whether it is the or a shooter, that's when my heart starts racing. And as much experience as I feel like I do have of calming down, I don't have the experience, I don't think anybody ever will, to the moment you identify that, determine you're shooting, your heart's going to race. So I give myself a second or two to feel it. And then I'm like, okay, truly think to myself, chill, this is it. You've practiced for this, and I put myself in a different place, really. I play out a scenario or two as which way I think they're going to come in. Maybe they don't come in, but I prepare myself as far as my position, where I think the shot might be. And outside of that, my brain is, heck, even a lot of times, I might be thinking of some freaking song that gets me pumped up or something like that. Like I'm in some freaking movie or something that this is my time to shine, and I'm going to shine. And so I give myself confidence, and I keep telling myself confident things. And that typically keeps me from freaking out. Yep. And it also gets me prepared for when they do hopefully step out.
Yep.
This is a tough one, because I don't think I think at all. I am thinking, but and I guess this probably comes from the fire department, in that when you do something so many times, then that's how you're going to react. Muscle memory, and I think that's what all your high-end athletes are doing and everything else. They go through it so many times that they are able to do it without thinking about it. It just comes natural. And I think that's where I try to put myself, is to constantly be working on this all the time, so that when it does happen, I'm not. So now when I'm thinking about it, it's kind of tough. You touched on one. One of the things that I know that I do when I see a deer that I feel like, or any animal that I feel like that I'm going to shoot at, is I first start positioning my body to to accommodate where they're coming in and in case. And I guess this goes back to that chess game. I want to play several moves here. When you talk about they're walking in, they're coming, okay, I should be able to draw behind that tree or that bush, or I should be able to shoot in this opening or that opening, or, oh no, I don't have an opening. I got to let him come all the way to here, and I'm hopefully 20 seconds, 30 seconds in front of that animal, that I've got this, this is what's going on. So I don't panic because it's okay. Like, I don't have a shot. He's at 18 yards now and he's still coming. It's okay. My shot is here. Come to full draw here. I run into some issues with that now because I struggle to draw my bow. So I can't physically do what I know that I should do mentally. And that is, mentally, I know there are certain times, okay, if he gets to there, I draw. And now let him come. I can't do that because I can't hold my bow like I used to be able to. I have to, like, okay, he's here. I need him to right there, and then I'm going to draw here. And then I try to do that and execute as quick as I can. So I'm a little bit of a behind the eight ball now. But it's okay. I mean, I would still rather do it that way. So that's one, is that I physically am positioning myself to get ready for that. In my head, I think we've talked about, this goes back to the mental preparation all of us have talked about, how you do it, is I will begin right away. He's not going to give me a shot. I'm going to plan for it, but he's not going to give me a shot. He's not going to walk in that opening. He's not going to come to 12 yards or whatever it is. And I do that because that takes my, I guess if you call it anxiety or hyper or whatever it is, the adrenaline, and it brings it down. And I go, okay, it's all good. You can get ready all you want, but it's not going to happen until, okay, well, now I'm at full draw, and now he is standing there. It just happened. And then it's like this humongous dump, this release, because you hold it back. And that's just the way that I have learned or taught myself to handle that, because it's real, man. I mean, for those people listening out there that haven't had it happen yet, haven't had that deer walk in that they want to shoot, or the ones that have, because I've seen the person who's frozen and they just don't do anything. I saw someone with a turkey one day. Turkey walked in and I look over because I'm filming and I'm like, draw. The turkey's been here for 15, 20 seconds beating on the decoy, and they're just sitting there like, oh my gosh, look at this. And then I've seen the one where I've walked up on a guy, someone else was filming, and shaking so violently that you would have thought they were sick. I mean, I don't know how he even shot, but he was.
He managed to hold it till after, and that's impressive.
Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah, he did not. And so there's a huge spectrum there, and every person's going to be different. If something that we can help you with is one of the ways we've developed it. But so that's what I would be telling people, is really try. And that is where the whole experience thing really, really, really makes sense, is that the more times you do this, the more times you tell yourself, I am going to shoot this doe, the more times that adrenaline goes, here it goes. Now you got to figure it out and try to work on that. And maybe it's not quite as high as it is when the rack is really big, whether you want to admit that or not. It probably isn't, but it is more. I'm still to this day, every time I see a doe and I decide I'm going to shoot, my heart starts racing. So that's where and I think all of us agree, we tell people, shoot lots of deer. Get an opportunity to shoot more deer, because you're going to become a better hunter, a better shooter, not as necessarily on the target, but a better shooter at the animals the more times you do it.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like I'm right there with Easton as far as when I first see him and I'm like, this is the one, I give myself a second or two of like, holy, because when I really think back of like all of the deer that I've killed, like ones when you're chasing them, I think that honestly is the peak excitement level, even more so than shooting them, because once you shoot them, it's like, it's super exciting. But then I think for me, it changes it a little bit more to like a
remorse, kind of.
For me, not really.
More like, nope.
It's a thankful, like, holy crap, that was awesome. That was a great experience, and like, and it happened, and it's kind of a disbelief moment, and then you're like thankful for the whole thing. I think when you first see them, the reason that we all get so addicted to chasing one is because, and when I think back of it and try and understand it, is because you're always wondering, am I ever going to be able to have that moment? And I don't think it's always, you're thinking of the moment of shooting him, but like the moment when you first see him and it's him, and then he's coming in, and it's like, oh my God. So I'm with Easton that I give myself a second or two to embrace that and be excited about it. And then the easiest way that I can explain it for people, and only half of our audience is going to get this, is when you play Red Dead Redemption, there is this portion in Red Dead where you can double click both analog sticks and everything goes into tunnel and slow motion. And then you can just pick the guys off, no problem. And that's what I'm able to flip a switch that goes into that mode. This elk season I wasn't. But usually I can. And so then, but I'm doing the same things of, okay, the first thing I'm doing is like I'm assessing the field. Is there anything else going on that I need to be mindful of? Is there a doe over here that I wasn't thinking about? Is my wind okay? Blah, 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 blah. I'm going through those checklists super quick. I'm grabbing my bow as quickly and smoothly as I can. And then one thing I will note that I had to really think about this is when I grab my bow, one of the very first things I do is get my grip proper. And I think that could be something that a lot of people mess up because I think they grab their bow and they forget about their grip. And if they don't, it can be very hard to draw your bow properly if you didn't grab the grip correct initially. So I just do that so that I'm like, I don't have to worry about that part. Done. From there is what I'm looking at is, okay, where are my openings? If the wind is all in my favor, then I like calm down a little bit more because I'm like, okay, he can come up here. He's not going to win me. I've got 3-4 minutes, whatever. We're okay. And then I'm doing the same thing. I'm reading these shooting lanes. I'm seeing when I can draw. I'm also checklisting in my head what are the distances and knowing. And I do a little bit different than maybe some people where I don't necessarily go off of exact distances. I know, okay, that tree was 25. So if he's there or slightly past, I'm going 30 on the heart. I don't think of I'm going to split pins. I'm just 30 on the heart or inside of it, 20 on the heart. And then that gives me where I only have to be thinking of one pin for those distances. And then once he gets inside of that, then I forget about all of my other range things and everything else. And then I think the other factor here that we haven't talked about that is by far one of the most important pieces, and I don't know, you can't teach this. The only way that you can get this is from experience, is I'm reading the deer's body language. I'm looking at that deer and I'm saying, okay, he's calm, he's nervous, he's going to be chasing a doe, or like he's fired up and he's chasing this doe, and so when I grunt at him, I'm going to have to grunt loud. I'm not going to go, meh. You know, I'm going to, meh. I'm like trying to take in all of those things so that which it sounds like a ton here. And I think that's just the experience all being compounded because the three of us could go through each of these things in our head like that, you know, when you're telling a new hunter, oh, you need to be thinking of this. They're like, oh my God, like stop. I can't process all of that information. And so I think it's that also, because there's certain times where I've had deer that are doing what I want them to do, and I'm like, you're screwed. Like I've got your ass, like you're toast, and able to do that. And there's other ones where it's like, oh Lord, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this happen or not. And I think you know that based off of their body language or the doe that's in front of them, you're keeping those other things in mind. I can remember one specific scenario where I can't remember who it was that was with me, but we had a buck come in, did everything we needed him to do, and they were afraid to draw because there was a fawn that'd seen us earlier. You don't need to worry about the fawn.
I wanted to bring this exact situation up because I just had somebody the other day that had his specific deer at 20 yards, and he said, I didn't draw because there was 2 or 3 other deer there, and he got away, and I couldn't shoot him. And I think that is a really common
mistake.
it's hard to say it's a mistake because it's something that you wouldn't really try to do. But to not draw, you're worried about everything else that is going on around it. And 1 minute you should be paying attention to the doe that's right there or the other little buck or whatever else it is. You should pay attention to that because you're paying attention to that as they're coming in or whatever. You don't want to bust something before they get there. When it comes down to the time you're going to take your shot or have to get to full draw, a lot of times I don't care what the other deer are doing unless they're in some situation where I think if I friggin' move and they're all going to take off, it's about the only time that I care about the other deer that are around besides the one that I'm about to shoot. And I think that people underestimate that. They think that if they just draw and the one doe sees him or something and starts getting nervous that it's all over. When in all reality, you're probably going to have plenty of seconds to be able to get your shot off, even if the one next to it is freaking out.
Well, I think that's where what you said a minute ago is so key, reading the deer. Because I can think of a scenario where I had a doe that was blowing at me. I mean, she's there, she's seen something or caught wind of something, and she is blowing at me and Mitch in the tree. Mitch was running the camera. And she blows for 10 minutes. Like, I'm doing the thing to Mitch. I'm going, I should just freaking shoot her. You know, I'm pissed. But I can see this buck coming. And he comes to her, and I end up shooting him at 25 yards. A lot of people would have not drawn because she was still standing. She's stomping her feet and blowing and has been doing this for 10 minutes. Too bad. I'm coming to full draw. He's here, and I got a shot at him right now. We're going to do this. So in that scenario, I'm like, okay, she's already worked up. I'm telling myself it's not going to matter if I draw now because she's been here so long doing this. She's not, I don't think she's going to react any worse than she already is. She's going to continue to do what she was doing. And that's exactly what she did. In another scenario, though, you get pegged. We've had it. I know, especially with cameramen that are new, where we're telling them, you can't bust that doe or the whole morning is over. You know, and so you're locked against a tree and nobody move, no one look at them. That doe, you can't do that. If you do that, the whole day is over, or that whole sit is over. So understanding, like you said, you know, and so not knowing what that person, that they got does there, you have to be able to know when you can and when you can't. The other thing that you said, and this is, it's just, it is what it is. And I think that we should say something about it so that guys that are hunting with their wives or their girlfriends and everything recognize that. And I'm not saying all of them are, but I'm saying the majority are. And that is, women don't process as quickly as guys do in the situation like what you mentioned before, where all this goes through your head and you accomplish all this in seconds. Women are better shots. I believe almost every woman out there could pick up a bow and outshoot me every day. But when it comes to that last few seconds of getting that shot, that's where, and I'm just going to use Mom because she'll flat agree, it takes her a little bit to compute things, you know, that I need to do this, I need to do that. She has a hard time getting to that opening, you know, and getting before and all that computing. Because like you said, it sounds like a ton, but we're doing that in seconds.
I think that some of that too could be like a risk assessment to females where they're like, the risk of me getting busted is so great that I can't take that risk. Right. Where I think a lot of your killers are looking at it as the risk of me not trying to get to full draw on this deer is too great because there's no not going to be many times that you're going to have him right where you need him and be able to get to full draw. So you need a little bit of luck and you got to go for it. But I think it can go both ways too, as far as I think you get guys that are so locked in on the buck and they do process all of that of, oh, I should draw here or whatever. And the doe is super nervous and they forget about the doe and they just go 100% as normal instead of letting him say, walk out to a point where, you know, if I draw, this doe's going to bust me, but he doesn't know what's going on. He's probably going to do the 5-yard wheel deal. Like if you don't know all that information already, you can't make that decision because you haven't been in enough scenarios where to know how that deer is going to react. Right. And I think that gives you a huge leg up when you do know that. I mean, there's a lot of times too, if you got them at 15 yards, even if they bust you, the odds are, as long as you have a lane, they're going to stop in 10 yards or something and look back. And when they do, put it on their heart and shoot them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I do think that is a pretty common scenario where people don't get an opportunity because of that. But I also think that takes experience. I've seen plenty where it does screw it up. But I would agree. I think the way you just put that is probably a way to look at it. Is the risk of this deer, of me not getting a shot, greater than me playing it safe and hoping I can see him again or get close again? To me, I just weigh the odds. Like, the odds of me getting him at 20 yards again, probably not so great. The odds of me getting a full draw, maybe still not great. But if I do, I don't have to worry about the odds of getting him at 20 yards again.
Let's say it's 50-50 versus probably 5%.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, you got way better odds of being able to make it happen right then than.
Well, but what we want to
getting
be
him there again.
Yeah, but what we want to be careful of, because it sounds like we're saying, well, that because I agree 100% with what you guys are talking about, and I know what you're talking about. But there's a difference between, is the risk worth getting to full draw? Now he does that 10-yard wheel and stops, but he doesn't give you a really good shot. He's quartered straight away, or either not even quartered, just like hard straight away. And I think that's where the risk assessment comes in for a lot of people, and that's where I think 90% of bow hunters are making bad shots. They're taking bad shots. They're taking a shot that now that risk assessment is
now or never.
I'm at full draw, and he's here. I know this isn't perfect. I got to let this arrow go. I got to at least try. No, you don't.
There's a different risk between getting a full draw and letting an arrow fly that could wound the animal.
Yep.
That's totally I agree with you. That's two totally different risks. One risk is if the deer walks away, nothing gets hurt, nothing bad whatsoever. Besides, I'm going to try to find him again,
right,
or another deer. I take the risk of, let's see if I hit in the right spot. Now that's just wrong. You should be. That's one of those times you need to be stacking your odds in your favor, that you are confident you're going to be able to put that arrow where it needs to go, and it's going to be a good shot.
Yep. But I would say too that I do think that with you guys doing as much saddling as you are now, you have a greater, a higher percentage, not of that situation. Meaning, deer comes in. You the whole risk analysis, I need to draw. You come to full draw and he busts you. You can simply move to another tree next time, because he's not going to, I don't believe he's going to leave the country. He's not going to another farm now that he saw something in the tree that spooked him. He just may avoid that tree. He may avoid that little bit of an area. A guy in a saddle, you can do it with a stand, but it's just a lot more work. But the guy in the saddle next time, whoop, you're 30 yards away. And he doesn't know, wind's different. Here he comes through, and he's looking over there at that. Well, there was something there before, and you shoot him while he's looking in the wrong direction. So it can be a huge. That to me is where the saddle. That's one of the scenarios that a saddle is really the mobile hunter. I don't want to say saddle because you could just move a stand, but the mobile hunter absolutely has a huge benefit, because you can get away with more things that happen and know that it's not going to happen again. I'm not going to be in that tree again.
Yeah. I think, too, a lot of it comes down to it. There's a really unique line between waiting for the right opportunity to present itself and knowing when you need to take the opportunity. Because 100%. Especially when you're teaching new hunters, I think sometimes we get to a point where we're trying to teach them it's okay, you don't have to rush things. You're going to get an opportunity. That deer is going to get broadside or this or that. And then they take it to a whole nother level of, there was a deer broadside at 20 yards, but there was a tree over it's guts, and they don't shoot. And it's like, okay, well, that's a time where you need to take the opportunity. Like, it's not a target. You're not going to get them to sit there perfectly still, looking away. The wind's in your face. Like, you have to understand the little nuances of, okay, this is as good as it's going to get, which is why you need to be practicing and shooting your bow a lot and understand what you're going to be facing, because you're not going to get a perfect scenario, which is another reason we tell people not to be flinging arrows 80 yards and all that stuff, because it's not going to be perfect. You need it to be ready for it to be 3, 4, 5 times as difficult as it is on a range. But so understanding that sometimes it's okay. You don't need to force the shot, and that you probably, especially you got a buck chasing a doe in front of you, there's a good odds, even for the next 30, 40 minutes probably in the morning, something like that, he's going to keep chasing her around, and one of those times they're going to loop right in front of you and you can shoot him. Instead of trying to force it through a baseball hole at 50, you know, those kinds of things. And then other times where when they do run in front of you, he was running. Well, you need to be at full draw and trying to stop him, you know, that kind of thing.
I would agree.
I think the one other tip I would add to this real quick is controlling your headspace. So some people may say, okay, well, I try to do all that, but it doesn't matter. I'm just losing my lunch. I'm the guy that's throwing up. You have to get to where you can control your head, and you're going to have to figure out how to do that, but you have to control your emotions, and you have to be in the driver's seat. Dad gave you his method. I'll give you my method. We've mentioned it before. I can't do what Dad does, because for me, I get too excited. Like, I'll see him and like it's going on, and I'm like, oh, it is happening. Like, and then it's naturally, I'm just super excited. So what I do is I try to, it is happening, but I need to make sure I do everything correct. And so that's where I just absolutely burn a hole. You guys have heard me say this probably 15 times on the podcast, and I can't emphasize enough, burn a hole on where you want to hit them. And I think that was the number one reason that I hit that elk bad the very first one this year. Well, I fortunately only hit one. And was because when I got to full draw on him, I just put my pin on the vitals. I hadn't picked a spot. I wasn't burning a hole. It all felt rough, like nothing, it wasn't in sync the way that it needs to be to make it all go smooth. So as soon as I determined that, I'm still processing all those other things, but I am just staring and trying to pick a hair on the back of them that I want to shoot, because I do believe when you go to full draw, most of the time it's blackout for me. Like, I can't ever remember that. And that's where I think that's where your second nature takes over from shooting your bow a ton. And the very first thing that your brain goes to is put the pin on that hair you were looking at, and you squeeze. And as long as you put the right hair on there, or the right pin on there, usually you're good.
Yep.
So that's how I try to control it. You have a method?
I told you guys my method.
Well, I'm saying you reiterate for people.
I make myself feel like I'm the freaking best shot in the dang world, whether I am or not. But and I think of it more sport-like. Like, you practice all the time for sports. There's you're 90% practice to 10% game time, and it's always that one part of the game that you're practicing so much for. Well, every time that I'm hunting, that's game time, and to me, that is that's the time where you get to shine, not have to shine, but where you have the opportunity to prove everything that you've worked for, and prove it to yourself, prove it to other people if you really need to. But for me, it's myself, and by thinking that way, I feel confident. Feel really confident, because I know how confident I feel. That's why it's so important for me, like my last arrow when I'm practicing, to be perfect, because that means that's the last arrow I'm thinking of when I'm getting to full draw on an animal, is the last one I just put in a target. And I'm like, yeah, that was at 40 yards, right and smack dab in the center, and this sucker's at 20. I think we're good. And it just, I make it, mine is just slowing it down. I mean, between that and just making things feel slower to myself is, I don't let the pressure get to me as far as panicking. Time is I think screws you. Feeling like you have no time, or you don't have the ability to control the time. You do. You probably just had a doe walk by in the same exact pace, everything, and it all felt slow. This one felt super quick because you're so hyped up. Well, I try to put myself back in those situations where I can slow it down.
Well, I think the confidence thing you talk about is huge, and we've talked about that before. I only know how to describe it through sports. I played sports and in baseball, and it is, man, that day when you walk up to the plate and the pitcher is throwing ping pong balls, you're striking out today. But that day when you walk up there, and I don't care what he throws or how fast he's throwing, it looks like a freaking volleyball coming down. You're crushing the ball. And that's what you need to be. That's the headspace you need to be in that tree, is when he breaks X line, whatever that is, he's not leaving this area now. I mean, he made a mistake. He stepped here. But the one thing that I think that we haven't mentioned is how much of that you talked about it as far as it's all practice. The problem with hunting is you don't really have a place to practice that it's not real. And what I'm saying is, how often does a guy go get into a tree stand, load an arrow into his bow and hang it up and stand there and go through and go, oh, there's a limb in the way, or I'm brushing that limb and it's making noise. How often do you do that you don't end up having a shooting lane to your left or to your right, or there's something that's your safety harness gets in the way. And if you've never hunted with a safety harness, you won't realize it until you make the turn to the inside of the tree, is what I call it, and then it's over your shoulder. And so what are you going to do in that scenario? All these things that I think we take for granted that we're doing, if we can kind of remember and go back to kindergarten and say, wait a minute, I didn't always know how to do that. Looking for the leaves on your stand and take them off before it gets an hour after daylight and you step on a little tiny twig on your tree stand that's crinkling and everything else. It's all that stuff. I made a huge mistake this year. I made it the last year and then I did it again, and I was so pissed at myself because I even remembered the mistake, but I didn't remember how I fixed it. And that is, I shot a doe low last year because I did not get my pin on her before my bow went off, because I had these little light gloves that were kind of bunchy, and I shoot a very, very hair trigger. I mean, and so when I put my finger on the trigger and apply any pressure, it's going off. So I need to make sure that pin is on that animal when I go to the trigger, I got to have the pin there. And I didn't realize, but this glove was in between my finger and there, and I touched the trigger and it hit the bottom of the doe. I didn't kill her. But I didn't kill her and I didn't wound her. I mean, she was wounded, but she lived, is my point. I did the same thing again this year on a doe. And I was so mad because what I told myself at the beginning of the season, I remember I had a situation with my gloves last year. I make sure I don't have that. I put on a brand new pair that fit tight. And I was like, okay, we're good. What I had forgotten was last year that didn't work either. What I had to do was cut that finger out. And so that it was because it's so hair trigger that I can't feel it. And I did the same thing this year, shot right under her and took the hair. I mean, the white hair went everywhere, but it was not the bow. It wasn't anything. It was literally the pin was not on the deer when it went off. And that was my fault. And so those are the types of things that you gotta get past. And here I'm talking 47 years of doing this, or 45 years of hunting with a bow, and I still am making mistakes. So you're never going to get it perfect. Eliminate as many as you can. And that goes to the simple thing of, where do you have your grunt call? Where do you put your grunt call? Is it in your left pocket or right pocket? And if you think it doesn't matter, it will when you realize that you need that grunt call while your bow's in your hand. You need to make one more call, and you're going, I got to switch hands with my bow and pull it out of this pocket, or it's hanging over here on this fancy little hook I got coming out of the tree. Doesn't work. So until you have some experience or someone talks you through something like that, where is that? Where is all these little items that are going to make that last few seconds smooth, that you don't have to think about it?
A lot of that stuff ends up happening kind of before. You get into the stand and you move your rope down or up or whatever so that it doesn't get in the way. And usually I think that comes from also experience and having it not happen well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The person that's it's never been an issue is going to hook their harness on, stand facing straight away from the tree, not thinking, and they'll do this if they're right-handed. They'll swing to their left and it's all good. They won't swing all the way to the right to try to shoot behind the tree on this side where the harness comes right across your neck.
Yeah.
And the other day I had Nick could see me down there. I'm flailing around and trying to get it off, but I was trying to get a follow-up shot on that deer. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Was there anything else that we wanted to touch base on those last few seconds? Because it's so crucial. It is the difference between
we did that specifically because this will come out first week in November. Most likely going to be lots of shots this week. So hopefully this is a good reminder for everybody to chill and know you got it and know that you can make the shot.
I think it's good. I think it was tangible information that people can listen to and try to put that into play, and hopefully it's a reminder before you get a shot. Here's some things I can do. Hopefully it helps one or two.
Heck yeah.
Wacky fact?
Yes. So, exceptional show specimens of dinosaur turds. The famous 2-foot-long T-Rex coprolite, the Cretaceous king, sold for, take a guess.
1.2 trillion.
What?
Trillion?
I don't know.
God dang, dude.
That's the most unique thing you ever seen in the entire world.
I'd say $750,000.
Are you? No way. It's got to be in the mills.
It's a turd.
It doesn't matter. It's a fossil.
You want to guess, Nick?
What do you? Lynette says 50 million.
50 million? 24.5 million? $10,370.
Oh, tell me that I'm not. It's just a turd.
I would have paid a lot of money for that turd.
At Bonham's auction in 2014.
It's fake. That's why. If it was real, it would have gone for more. That should be in
I'm
the
gonna try and buy that thing.
Smithsonian.
Clearly, I was thinking same thing. Got to be like bare minimum $500,000, $750,000 or more for the largest dinosaur turd that's ever been.
That makes me mad. I don't want.
And as much as everybody loves any turd related wacky fact, clearly there's a market out there for it.
Pretty niche market here.
That's so stupid.
I wouldn't have guessed that, so I'll give you that.
It don't stink.
That is ridiculous, though. That every other thing like that is in a museum.
Oh yeah, any kind of artifact or something like that seems like it's worth
like a
crazy
freaking
amount of
insect
money.
that's stuck in freaking sap is in museums, but a big old T-Rex turd isn't.
Well, that's because they probably got a whole bunch of them.
No, it's the record. It's the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the biggest one. There's not any others like it. It's the size of a small child.
It's only 2 feet.
It's only
still.
2 foot.
That's so stupid. There's no way
Yeah,
a
like a
T-Rex
little
turd
baby.
is only that big.
That's just a pebble.
I wouldn't be as scared to hunt a T-Rex after I saw the size of his turds. Like, you ain't as scary as you think.
Oh boy.
All right. Anything else?
I don't believe
We're good.
So
All right, guys. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, you're going, oh, I don't even need that because I already punched my tag last week and I made it a good shot. But I appreciate the effort, fellas. But for those of you that has not happened yet, that you still got a tag in your pocket, hopefully this is coming out in a timely manner. I hope that you're not like the gentleman that contacted us and said, I was listening to your guys' podcast when this buck walked in and went through the whole scenario as it was happening. Probably not a good time to be listening to our podcast.
Hey, if it works, it works.
yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to go climb back in a tree. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to go to the website. The candle thing is still there, right?
If there is, there's only a few.
So we try to hook you guys up. We know Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving, Halloween is right around the corner. But if you want a reason to buy scents, you can go buy a candle and you get the scents for free. Just saying, we're trying to help you out. So anyhow, there's also lots of apparel. Check that out. Again, no ads on this podcast other than me pushing our own stuff so that you guys know, and it's really more of an informational thing that we're doing there so that you guys don't get mad at us when we're sold out. So, all right, love you guys. We'll see you next week. Good luck in the tree. Send pictures. Send your scenarios. Raised Hunting's out.